Here is the latest Higher Summits forecast brought to you by our friends at the Mount Washington Observatory.
Weather above treeline in the White Mountains is often wildly different than at our trailheads. Before you hike, check the Higher Summits forecast at mountwashington.org. Weather observers working at the nonprofit Mount Washington Observatory write this elevation-based forecast every morning and afternoon. Search and rescue teams, avalanche experts, and backcountry guides all rely on the Higher Summits forecast to anticipate weather conditions above treeline. You should too. Go to mountwashington.org or text forecast to 603-356-2137.
Hello, listeners. Nick here with your forecast for the weekend of April 4th, 2026. Friday. In the clouds with a chance of rain showers. High, lower 40s. Wind southwest, shifting west at 60 to 80 miles per hour with gusts up to 100 miles per hour. Increasing to 70 to 90 miles per hour with gusts up to 110 miles per hour. Wind chill rising to 20 to 30 above. Friday night. Mostly in the clouds, trending towards mostly in the clear under mostly cloudy skies. A chance of rain showers early. Low, lower 30s. Wind west, shifting northeast at 70 to 90 miles per hour with gusts up to 110 miles per hour, decreasing to 35 to 50 miles per hour late. Wind chill falling to 10 to 20 above. And Saturday. In the clear under partly sunny skies. High starting in the lower 30s, then falling to the upper 20s throughout the day. Wind northeast, shifting southeast at 30 to 45 miles per hour early, 12 to 25 miles per hour midday, and 25 to 40 miles per hour with gusts up to 55 miles per hour late. Wind chill 10 to 20 above, so looking like a mild, wet, and potentially very windy start to the weekend. Just a reminder that there is a winter weather advisory in effect for neighboring valleys from 8 p.m. Thursday to 10 a.m. Friday, or the morning of when you're hearing this. Happy hiking, go crush some peaks.
Broadcasting from the Woodpecker Studio in the great Live Free or Die state of New Hampshire. Welcome to the Sounds Like a Search and Rescue podcast, where we discuss all things related to hiking and search and rescue in the White Mountains of New Hampshire and beyond. Here are your hosts, Mike and Nick.
All right, Sarah, anything you say will be used against you now. So we're live, episode 228. So welcome.
Thank you.
Excellent. So, Nick, I got a couple things here. So I am on 6 a.m. Mount Katahdin Permit Operation Watch here. Have you ever done this before?
I'd say last time, the only time I've been to Katahdin, my buddy's wife and good friend Lori actually woke up and did the whole reservation thing for us, so I didn't have to worry about that. But I'm also on parking permit reservation duty for tomorrow.
You're on too. Okay.
Yeah. I think you, Dave, Peter are all trying to secure Roaring Brook passes to make sure we have enough.
Right, yeah, because we want to do the knife edge. So for listeners, if you're not aware, April 1st is when the parking permits open up for Katahdin. So we're doing a little adventure in July. We're staying outside of Baxter State Park, but we want to try to get parking access to get into Roaring Brook so that we can go and do a hike over I guess that's the best direction to go, knife edge. I've only ever gone A-ball, so I don't know Roaring Brook at all.
Yeah, I did Roaring Brook once before, but we just went up by Chimney Pond and then went up I think the Saddle Trail in between the tablelands and then did Hamlin and Baxter and just went out and back. So I've only been there once, so pretty unfamiliar. It was also like 4 years ago now.
Yeah, Sarah, have you done any of this permit stuff for Katahdin? Usually, I try to find friends and just
That's
tell
the
them.
way to do it.
I glom on.
Is find a friend in Maine because they have better privileges than what we have.
Oh,
Right.
And that's the way to do it. And it doesn't matter that your parking permit isn't going, like, say you're from, your license plate says New Hampshire and your friend has a Maine registration. They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't match it up.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I think that we've got like probably, I don't know, there's about eight or nine of us that are going. So we thought like at least 2 cars would be okay. And if we, I mean, maybe we have to squeeze people in trunks. I'm not sure.
I'll bring my roof rack, my new roof box, I should say.
That's true. And then before we do the intro, I also unlocked a new thing. So, Sarah, to our horror, a long time ago, we discovered that Nick is incapable of riding a bicycle. So we're going to bring a bike to Katahdin. Yeah, you're going to be horrified.
So incapable is a different statement.
Or he's never
learned. I've never learned.
He's riding a bike.
He's never. Yeah. So we're going to take
formally.
I'm going to take a bike to Katahdin. And that's going to be like when we have our downtime, that's where he's going to learn how to ride a bike.
With training wheels, or are you just going to send him?
No, I was just going to bring like a mountain bike, like, and just have him, like, he'll learn, like, right? It's got to be.
Get him a helmet.
Get horribly injured.
I get him a helmet. I'll get him elbow pads and everything. So, but,
I'm not wearing elbow pads.
You're not going to wear elbow pads?
I don't know. I'll wear a helmet.
I mean, he's not going to the roller derby. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, yes.
Is it going to be dirt gravel?
We'll put it. Yeah, we'll do a dirt road for sure.
Okay.
So, I taught my daughters. Well, one of my daughters I taught on the front lawn in the grass so that she felt more comfortable. But I've taught 3 girls to ride a bike, so I feel like I can teach you to ride a bike.
All right, I'm confident.
So, but there's this ongoing theme about, because Nick's younger than us, so there's a generational thing. But there's also things he doesn't. But today we discovered, we were texting with Dave, who Dave Shits in the Woods. And he was playing a game of Wheel of Fortune with us to guess the letters to give the answer to what his trail name is on the Appalachian Trail. And Nick apparently doesn't know Wheel of Fortune that well. So
Nick, you're killing me.
Yeah,
I don't. I know. Apparently, I'm killing everybody. They're like, "Oh my god!" It was like 7 texts of you guys going back and forth.
Yeah, I was like, you have to do RSTLN. Started off with that. So, but anyway, so we've got our work cut out for the Katahdin trip. So we got to bring a bike, and then I'm going to have to find a Wheel of Fortune board game for Nick to teach him.
That sounds fun.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so that was our opening little section here. So welcome to episode 228 of the Sounds Like a Search and Rescue podcast. Oh my God, Sarah, I didn't ask how to pronounce your last name. I think it's Gregory, right?
No, try it.
Gregoire?
Gregoire.
What is it?
Third time's the charm. You got it.
Gregoire.
Gregoire.
Okay.
So this was, I didn't even mention this. So my mom's mom, my meme's maiden name was Gregoire. So I'm assuming it's also French Canadian.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go. So I had a 1-up on that one, but.
Wow. I'm Irish, so I got of Irish descent, so I guess I'm that. So Gregoire.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Nailed
So we'll edit this out. Welcome to episode 228 of the Sounds Like a Search and Rescue podcast. This week, we are joined by Sarah Gregoire. She's sitting in with us. So Sarah's a hiker, mountain biker, fitness enthusiast, and friend of our sometimes co-host and current AT thru hiker, Dave Shits in the Woods. So Sarah's here to share the story of her fitness journey and activities while making it through her life with one lung. You only have one lung. That's amazing.
Yeah, not my entire life. For the past year and 4 months.
Yeah. So we'll get into that.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy inspiring. So we'll get into that. Plus, we've got some news. We got to welcome a new old sponsor. Reckless Brewing is back. So we'll welcome them back, and then we'll have a reminder and updates on the live event coming up on at Mountain Wanderer on April 11th. And then there's details of an after party that is kindly being hosted by Woodstock Station Inn and Brewery via their partnership with enjoywoodstock.org. So we'll talk a little bit about that. All this plus discussion about the New England Trails Conditions website and a new option for trail reports. Plus, Wolfeboro is implementing new docking fees that could impact the famous MS Mount Washington ship in Lake Winnipesauke. We've got car break-ins and vandalism that has started up again in the Whites. Black bears are waking up, and we've also got reminders on tick safety as we enter the warmer months. We've got men behaving badly and the topic of Alpine divorce. So we'll break that down. Electric vehicles are going up in flames. We've got some gear and equipment talk. We're going to talk about a Garmin Fenix 8, Subaru Outbacks, metal zip ties, and exoskeletons that are getting lighter and better and being used in search and rescue. Nick has music documentary recommendations, and then we've got trip reports. Mike was on Moosalaki and Mount Cube, and then Nick was on Willey Tom Field, Mount Garfield, and the Blue Hills. So all this plus search and rescue news. I'm Mike.
And I'm Nick.
Let's get started.
Let's get started!
All right, Nick, why don't we take it away and talk about our friends from the Alzheimer's Association?
Sure. So Alzheimer's Association 48 Peaks. Use your passion for hiking and Alzheimer's. Join 400 plus hikers as they climb New Hampshire's 4,000 footers or create their own challenge to support the mission of the Alzheimer's Association. The annual hiker celebration will be Saturday, June 13th at Ledge Brewing with raffles, food, and an amazing community. Hike that weekend or any day you want this summer, no fundraising minimums, but those who raise $125 will receive the annual performance grade t-shirt and a ticket for the hiker celebration. Let's turn the White Mountains purple to end alls. Visit alls.org/48peaks to learn more. And if you're interested in joining the SLASR podcast 48 Peaks team on June 13th to hike Mount Adams, there'll be a link at the bottom of this episode. I think we got Mike, Nobby, Andy, me, some of our friends. I think Peter, Jake probably will be joining. So it should be a fun crew, and maybe we'll end up actually splitting up into a couple groups depending how the day goes.
We'll see how it goes. I'm sure there'll be a crew that wants to go up to Madison, and then a crew that wants to just go drink.
Yes.
Speaking of drinking, we welcome back our new old sponsor, Reckless Brewing Company.
Sure. So for those who spend their days navigating the granite peaks and unpredictable weather of the White Mountains, the trail doesn't truly end at the parking lot. It ends at Reckless Brewing Company, located in the heart of Bethlehem. Reckless serves as the unofficial headquarters for the tired, the muddy, and the bold. It's where trail stories are swapped over a massive menu of mountain-sized meals and pints of craft beer brewed for the North Country soul. When the hike is over and the gear is stowed, Reckless is where the adventure truly settles in. Reckless Brewing Company, the finish line for every White Mountain trek.
I'm thirsty just thinking about them, Nick.
It's a good ad drop they wrote us. Makes you want to have a beer and food.
Right. So welcome back, and definitely hit up Reckless at the end of the hike. And then just a little bit more about the live event that's coming up in, what is it, two weeks now, Nick?
Yeah, it'll be a week from this Saturday, actually. Yeah,
a week from Saturday. Yeah. It's less than 2 weeks. So it'll be 1 week away from when the show drops.
Yep.
So we will be at Mountain Wanderer in Lincoln, New Hampshire on April 11th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then I think we're going to record from, 3 to 5?
3 to 5 p.m. Yeah,
and then is Stomp confirmed to be there?
I believe so, yes.
Yep, he'll be there setting everything
up. I hope
so. Yes, so Stomp will be there, Nick will be there, and I will be there. And then we're going to have an after party. So our friend Randy, listener Randy, had reached out to us from enjoywoodstock.org, which my understanding is it's sort of a newer organization that's been put together to highlight Woodstock. I think people think about Lincoln a lot, and they don't always go down the street to check out Woodstock, although I've been there quite a few times. They got some great places down there. So Randy has coordinated with the Woodstock Station Inn and Brewery, and we're going to have an after party there. And then, reach out to them if you want to stay over. I think that it's going to be a late night, so definitely don't be out drinking and driving. So stay over if you're interested.
Yeah, we're calling it an après pod event.
Yes.
So come join.
Excellent. Yeah, and then we'll have to have Randy on at some point so you can talk about Enjoy Woodstock and all that. We can catch up with him when we go to the event.
Yeah, for sure.
Very good. All right. So we talked about the Katahdin permit. We talked about Nick doesn't know Wheel of Fortune. So we're going to update now with Dave from Dave Shits in the Woods. So, Sarah, you're friends with Dave. So we'll get into it a little bit more. But how exactly did you get to know Dave?
He found me on Instagram.
He did.
Yeah.
And did you immediately block him? Were you like, who was this creepy guy?
Yeah, and he created a new account. I did.
Then it got really weird.
So that's good. And have you guys have hiked together?
I'm sorry? No, we
You guys
haven't.
have hiked.
Okay,
You haven't.
gotcha.
You just know each other.
Which
Got it.
is funny because he
Yeah.
goes by Dave Shits in the Woods. And for the longest time, I say, I need to make a new patch called Pooping on the 48.
Yes.
Properly by digging a hole and covering it. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
I'm somewhat far along on that one,
yeah,
unfortunately.
I think I'm
Okay.
at 47.
You're right. Exactly. So anyway, but we wanted to just update the listeners. So our friend Dave had left on March 1st to hike the Appalachian Trail. So he's going northbound. I think he technically started, I think he was messing around down in Amicalola Falls for a day or two, getting permits and all that stuff. So I think he officially started maybe the 3rd. And the latest update, and this update's probably about a week behind, I think, but on his Instagram, he had indicated that he had made it to Fontana Dam, which is essentially like you go through Georgia and then you're into North Carolina, and then Fontana Dam is essentially like right before you enter the Smokies. And for thru hikers that are doing the Appalachian Trail, the Smokies is kind of a milestone. So you've gone 166 miles. So you sort of get your trail legs under you. Dave's definitely not looking to like set any speed records. He said he's taking his time. So I think he's really like doing somewhere between 8 to 10 miles. But he's at Fontana Dam. He's entering the Smokies. He explained to us that there's a permit situation with the Smokies. So you need a permit. You can't camp out. You have to stay in the shelters that are along the way. The shelters do tend to get spread out a little bit farther as you go further into the Smokies. And he said the rule is that the thru hikers have to stay in the shelter. If there's not enough room and day hikers show up, then the day hikers get priority on the shelters, and then they can camp in the shelter area. And then I guess, yeah, that's basically the way things go. There's like cables there to hang your food because they have issues with black bears in the Smokies, probably worse than we do much worse than we do here in New Hampshire. So his latest report, his starting mile was 166.2 miles into the trail. He went 14.9 miles and ended at 181 miles. Weather was sunny and cool, 40s into the high 50s. He did 4,800 feet of elevation gain and then 2,300 feet down. He averaged about 500 feet per mile of climbing. And he indicates that he packed up with the sun, put on a great show, rising up, explored and then walked over the stunning and humongous Fontana Dam and into the Great Smoky Mountains. Side quest up the 5-story Shush Stack Fire Tower for views for miles. The hiking had lots of elevation, but not as steep as it's been. Landed at the first shelter I was aiming for early, so I continued on to the second. The Smoky Mountains, you must sleep in the shelter unless they are full. If you're a thru hiker and a day hiker gets there with a permit as well, you're supposed to give up your space. All have bare cables to hang food and an inside fireplace. Most have mice and some have a privy. Quiet night here with only 4 of us in the shelter. And then we did find out that he has a trail name, but we'll hold off on sharing that for now.
Yeah, we'll save that till we have him on to tell us his trail name, and we got a brief synopsis of how he obtained said trail name, which was very entertaining. And I think he was worried that none of us replied right away because it was in the middle of the day, and I think he was really worried that we didn't find it impressive. But it was a really nice story.
Yeah, it's a funny story. He's like messing around with the hostels a little bit, and like there's a couple of crazy hostels out there, so he had gotten mixed up with somebody that was trying to get him to go to a hostel. So there's a story behind it. So we'll let him tell.
Yeah.
All right. So congratulations to Dave. So he's moving along, and I
Doing-
know that he
doing
did
great,
have
Dave.
like a couple of other updates where I think he picked the wrong spot to sleep, and he ended up getting too much wind
Blown
up on
around.
a ridge line and had to leave. So he's learning his lessons.
Yeah, I've been trying to share out as much of, as long as you keep tagging us, Dave, I'll keep sharing out everything. So it's been a nice stream of Dave, I think every day, nearly.
I'm loving him following along. Like
Same.
I'll go through and just see where he's at, and then I look up online. I'll look up on my map to see like, okay, what shelter's next. So it's fun.
Yeah, I've had like just a map of the AT basically, and kind of looking where he actually is and kind of the different mountains and shelters and stuff. It's been cool.
All right. So we've got a couple of hiking New Hampshire related topics here that we want to run through, Nick. So the first one is New England trail conditions. There was a discussion on Reddit There was some people, Reddit's terrible, by the way. I don't even know why I go on that dumb site, but especially the White Mountain National Forest Reddit.
It's aggressive in that Reddit. I don't go on there that much. I think you and Jake and some of our other friends go on there. It is like people are out for blood in that Reddit.
They're so mean. I went on there, like I barely ever post on Reddit. Sarah, listen to this story. You mentioned ChatGPT. I built this little tool on ChatGPT where it basically consumes all of the Wanna-Lancet newsletters from the 1970s through the 2025. And then I also indexed all of the Appalachia journals from 1876 through 1930 or so. So I spent hours indexing these, building a tool, and then basically building this thing called a GPT where it'll pull back the journal articles on any topic you can imagine. You can look it up. I'll send it to you. But I was like, well, this would be a really cool thing. Like I can share this with people and they can do historical research or they can look up questions or whatever. I post this on the Reddit site under the SLASR podcast thing, and immediately people are like, there's people swearing at me. They're like, AI is not trustworthy. You're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, forget. So I immediately deleted it. But anyway, so already I'm not a big fan of Reddit. But anyway, this was an interesting discussion on Reddit where the New England Trails Condition group, apparently someone was giving a warning saying that the Trails Condition group, they will, this is the site that you enter your...
Are you familiar with New England Trail Conditions, Sarah?
Absolutely.
Okay. I just wanted to check. Right. Figured, but
right. So I'll go on there a lot, and I post the updates and stuff. But I didn't realize this around this time of the year is where sometimes you don't need snowshoes and whatever, it's fine. But apparently they add snowshoes as a recommended traction device for your trail reports, even if you don't put it on there. So I actually went and realized that I had done a trip report for the Grey Knob trip, and they had put recommended, and I had just put microspikes and crampons, but they had put snowshoes, which you would have never been able to wear snowshoes in any of the conditions we were in. You would have died.
Yeah, literally.
So I thought it was kind of funny, and people are mad because they're like, well, they shouldn't be the ones making a decision on snowshoes. I get the point. A lot of times people may miss using snowshoes and they want to recommend it through the winter. But I feel like we're at a time right now where it is reasonable to say look, snowshoes are not helpful at all. And microspikes are a better option, or even crampons with the ice flows for anything northerly facing. I actually think crampons or microspikes would be much better.
That's definitely where we are. I mean, one of my last hikes, I brought my snowshoes, said, screw this, and then stashed it behind a rock and just finished the hike. Right. I mean, you're just carrying them at this point so that you can say, I'm doing my job. I'm bringing snowshoes, but none of us are using it.
Right, exactly. And it's beyond the point where you can, you have to deal with warm weather and snow melting and sinking in. It's just, all it is ice flows right now from northerly facing directions. So yeah, but I thought it was interesting.
It does depend though. I mean, I was on Tom Field Willey on Wednesday and I used snowshoes the whole time. So
you could use them.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of places in the Whites though, you're not going to need them. And again, that was after a fresh snowfall, and it's already changed, I'm sure, quite a bit from how Wednesday was with the warm-ups and rain and whatnot. But again, I think that's the outlier. So that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. But as part of this, the whole reason we brought this up is because there's also another tool on here called Tip Top Peaks, which I think aggregates from New England trail conditions and then also allows you to enter your own trail report. So just another place to check. And I don't want to knock the New England Trail Condition. They do a good job on that site and it's invaluable, but I just thought it was a funny conversation on Reddit for them.
Yeah, it was an intense discussion. I get people getting mad that people edit their trail reports, but it's also their person that hosts the website. To me, it's their website. You don't have to go post reports there. You don't have to use it. You can use Facebook or things like that too. So to me, it's if you have a big problem with it, then just don't use it. I think it's a great resource regardless of if someone's going and just adding snowshoes to different things. Use common sense.
I guess I can live with that. Matter of fact, I think, Nick, I had said this. I think we met the guy that runs that site on Isolation, that hike that we did a couple years ago in winter.
The gritter that we crossed?
I think so. I think he said that he was part. Maybe he's just part of it. So he's a nice guy, but anyway.
He was wearing snowshoes.
Yes. All right, moving on. We get a little bit of political drama in Wolfeboro. So this is like small town drama, which it's interesting. So there's this boat in Lake Winnipesauke that's kind of famous called the MS Mount Washington, and it's been around for I think over 100 years, a long time. And the town of Wolfeboro is like they're dealing with the same thing like many towns are dealing with. They've got these docks that need constant maintenance and repair. And they're basically a money loser for the town. They've got like a $700,000 bond on the docks, which it cost them a fair amount of money to service. And they do charge commercial fees, but the fees are way too low to cover the actual cost. So the taxpayers are subsidizing the commercial boat operations that run out of there. So I think the Mount Washington is probably the biggest boat that's docked in these places. And then otherwise it's like, tour boats, rental boats, stuff like that. They don't charge much money. So they had previously, I think, charged around $1,000 or something for the Mount Washington docking fee. It's actually $2,100 per season. And they've now approved a budget increase to $3,000. So it's $900 extra dollars. But one of the selectmen in town had also proposed that they wanted to charge 25 cents per passenger. As an additional fee, which 100,000 passengers a year would have been around $25,000 total. Now, the proposal was, tabled at the Board of Selectmen's, but I guess it's to be determined whether or not they'll bring it back or not. But there was a concern that, that once that discussion started happening, I think there was a concern that potentially you could end up, if the fees get too high, then Mount Washington could look at another town around Winnipesauke and maybe move their business to, move it to Alton Bay or something, and instead of coming out of Wolfeboro. So the town's trying to balance between the businesses should pay closer to the true cost, the dock shouldn't be taxpayer funded, but they also don't want to get the fees so high that the boats stop coming or the businesses pass the cost on to customers and then it hurts tourism. So it's a balancing act they have to work out. But this story just basically reminded me that I do need to get down there and actually get on this Mount Washington ship, because I think I've went on it when I was a kid, but I haven't gone on it in a long time.
It's like a famous, basically old steamboat, right? Like the 30s or something.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't know if it's a paddle boat. There's a paddle boat on Long Lake that I've gone on quite a bit in Maine, but I haven't gone on this one in a long time.
You ever check that out, Sarah?
No. Is it like do you eat dinner? Or you just hang out?
Yeah. I think it's like maybe it's a dinner, and then the one in Maine that I go to, they'll have like themes, like they'll have like an 80s theme night, or they'll have like a hair band night, and then you go out and basically just, it's music and drinks and stuff like that. So, but I don't really know much about it. I'll have to look that up and maybe update on the next episode. But yeah, I think it's just basically a nice night out to go out on a cruise on the lake.
That's cool.
So, yeah. So anyway, but we'll see. Hopefully Wolfeboro sorts out their money situation for them. Speaking of money, though, Nick, a Massachusetts owner of a Toyota Tacoma came back from a stay at Lonesome Lake to find that his beautiful blue pickup truck was essentially destroyed while they were staying at Lonesome Lake. 4 slashed tires. And then broken windows. Looks like they kicked in the gas tank door on it, and then did some other damage. So really just absolutely trashed this vehicle. And it looks like the slice on the tire is like 2 feet wide. So somebody really, really took an aggressive stance against this vehicle. So not a great story.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know exactly what caused this. I mean, I think it was a lot of people commented on this post, so I'm sure a bunch of people saw it, even listeners and whatnot. But yeah, not really sure how to take that. I mean, that's definitely not the normality. I think I remember people kind of being like, oh, like they're giving Massachusetts plates a hard time or doing whatever to people's cars during COVID. Knock on wood, maybe I just haven't ran into anybody that aggressive on the trail yet, but most of the people I know are Massachusetts people, and I don't think any of us have had something that crazy happen in one of our vehicles before.
No, knock on wood. So this was actually posted on social media by the Let's Hike podcast. So this is a newer podcast. I think we've mentioned this, so definitely check them out. So this was a friend of somebody that's involved in that podcast, and they had talked about that this damage had been done. There was some speculation around whether or not the motivation was due to the Massachusetts license plate or not. This, to me, just looking at this, Nick, I feel like this is an opportunistic sort of maybe a group of young people got together. Maybe they were parking there late at night, little bit of drinking, one kid, eggs on another one, and next thing you know, they're trashing the car. Like, it seems to me like this is a sort of the folly of youth type of thing versus some vandalism that's targeted based on a license plate to me. But I don't know.
Yeah, again, I'm not trying to judge. I wasn't there, but like I said, it seemed very aggressive just because someone had a Massachusetts license plate. Again, maybe I just, like you said, Mike, maybe I just haven't ran into this and we've been really lucky for the past X amount of years, but it seemed very aggressive. And I kind of agree with you. It seems like likely that alcohol or something probably would have been involved in doing that to a $45,000 whatever. It's a nice Tacoma. It's like a brand new Tacoma.
Oh, it was a new one. That's terrible.
Yeah, the poor Tacoma.
Yeah.
Like, that's
it's
just the trashed. The model alone should leave it alone.
Yeah,
they should leave it
exactly.
alone. But, I did have I look back in our history, so there's a couple things going on in relation to car breaks. So there was a couple that was arrested in southern New Hampshire this week I think they were out of Methuen, and then they were breaking into cars in Salem, New Hampshire. But there was some speculation online that the police were looking at them potentially being involved in some car breaks farther north into New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. And then just for people like to understand the precedent here. So there was a series of car breaks that happened at trailheads on the Kank in 2019 that went on for like most of the summer. And they actually did end up arresting a couple that was out of Concord, New Hampshire. So it's absolutely not out of the norm for people to come up from the south to mess around and look for secluded cars or messing with people. So I'll include the links to those arrest announcements in the show notes. But Nick, I wanted to go over a couple of strategies that I wanted to advise people on how to protect your car potentially. So the first one is, and I take advantage of this a lot, is use the park and rides in southern New Hampshire, and whenever you can, talk your friends into being the driver so that you just hop in the passenger. So if there is a car break, it's their problem.
The safest way to avoid it happening is to just make sure your car isn't the car that goes up to the lights.
Exactly. Meet me in Windham, New Hampshire, or Newburyport, and just hop in.
That would be why my friends met me at Exit 4 in Londonderry, and I drove to isolate this weekend.
So now you know what they're up to.
Yeah, you've already told them what to do.
Yes.
There you go.
Exactly. Then there's always the question to lock or not lock your car. So I go back and forth on this. For a long time, I was on team keep your car unlocked. But the one thing that does concern me a little bit is if you do keep your car unlocked, I've seen videos of black bears that they can't get into your vehicles. Mm. So do not leave any food or anything around, because black bears will get into your car and absolutely trash them. So you got to be careful.
Yeah. I'm in team lock my car. I usually I grab my wallet and everything out with me anyways, but
yeah, don't leave anything valuable. But I could go back and forth. And then I feel like hide your car as best as you can.
Where are you going to hide a car?
I don't know. But like, you have to be like nondescript. Like, I feel like if you're parking, like, make sure that it's parked in a way that's visible, but like next to a better car than yours, one that like you feel like the thieves would break into before yours.
I like the idea of us pulling up and you have like a ghillie suit equivalent, but it's for your car. You're just like, what's that? You just pull it out of the trunk and it's like got brush and everything on it, and it's camouflaged with whatever season it is. You got like a foliage one, a summer one, like a winter one.
Or just get a cover that makes it look like a Ford Pinto instead of a nice Subaru.
Yeah.
So, and then I had here on my notes, I said, I feel like the busy lots are where you're going to attract like the serial thieves, like the ones where like, like a 93, you get
Falling Waters, Bridle Path.
Falling Waters, all those. Those are going to be the like professional thieves that are going to look for high volume, and then the ones that are sort of out of the way, those will be more, I think, like opportunistic, sort of local type crimes that could happen. So it's sort of take your pick. But I think the first option is to talk your friends into driving. That's the key.
100%.
That's the only foolproof way to protect yourself.
Just keep your car out of New Hampshire as much as you can.
Yeah. So, and speaking of bears, so black bears are waking up. So what do we need to know, Nick, about being responsible when the bears wake up and they're hungry?
Yeah.
They're going to eat.
Yeah, so this is basically a little article I pulled from a New Hampshire Fish and Game when I was going through looking for star stories this week. But I thought it'd be pretty relevant. And I did want to mention our friend Jake actually sent us a little video after we were talking about black bears waking up a few weeks ago of a bear up by his place in Bartlett. So they are up and stumbling around, starting to get hungry. And this whole article sort of goes it's called Be Responsible with Bear Attractants this spring. Kind of some keywords are in here are garbage and bird feeders. So if you live up in the Whites or anywhere in New Hampshire where there's black bears or even a lot of Western Mass, bird feeders are like a prime thing that black bears will go after. I think a lot of people don't necessarily think of them eating things that are in bird feeders, but you got peanuts and a lot of nuts and things that tend to attract them there, dried fruit. And also garbage. If your garbage isn't secured tightly, they will try to go into it and rip through. You got like chicken carcasses or anything that's really stinky in there, seafood rotting, anything like that. Their sense of smell is incredible. It's basically on par sort of with a dog's sense of smell. They can get into stuff. They're pretty agile with their hands, opening lids and things like that. I've stayed at a place at Newfound Lake as a kid once where a bear got into our trash very easily with like a bungee on it that the owners had supplied. They since moved to like a full metal bin. A lot of places you'll stay. If you can tell if they've had bear issues because they'll have something serious. But yeah, just be careful if you're in Western Mass or New Hampshire, Vermont, that area. I think most people that live there kind of know that, but bird feeder is not something that would necessarily come to my mind right off the bat for bears. So yeah.
Right. See, I'm glad I didn't bring that rotisserie chicken to Grey Knob that last weekend.
Yeah, they might have had an uninvited friend or a pine marten apparently.
Yes,
pine martens like rotisserie chicken.
Well, so the pine marten, I think they'll eat anything. So, but there was a pine marten in Grey Knob that had gotten a hold of some food. The caretaker was telling us the story. Yeah, chicken thighs. Yeah,
exactly. I don't care. They're so cute.
Apparently, like stood his ground when he was confronted out on the deck of Grey Knob too, and the caretaker is kind of not sure what to do with him because he kind of just looked at him while he was eating some raw chicken thighs, and he didn't really care.
He's a disagreeable little pine marten.
Yeah.
So. All right. So, Sarah, you ever heard of an Alpine divorce? Do you know what that is?
No.
You don't know what that is? All right. So this is we're going to talk about men behaving badly, Nick.
So, again.
We're going to have to get. Look, I've been married for I don't even know how long have I been married for. Let me think about this for a minute. 25 years, 26 years going on, and I've been with Kristen for even longer than that, Mrs. Mike. So I try to give a relationship advice, but like just caveat that I'm not an expert, but Alpine divorce is when a couple gets divorced based on the behavior of the hiking partner abandoning the other partner on trail. So there was a TikTok video that went viral of this girl that was like, I don't know where she was, out west, and she was talking about how she went hiking with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend abandoned her on the trail, and she didn't know, like, it's scary. She didn't know where she was or how she was going to get back, and she was basically like, yeah, I don't know what's going to go on. I didn't really find out, like, what happened with that video, but it started, like, a whole series of articles. So there's an article in The Guardian, and there's also an article in Outside Magazine, and while this TikTok video went viral, a bunch of people on different social media websites started talking about it, and there's even like a support group for people that have been victim of these Alpine divorce situations where I guess their partners get like obsessed about hiking and they try to go with them, and then it doesn't work out on trail. Like they're not in sync as far as the pace goes, and then the hiker person will leave the partner. So there's a support group even that you can join that says, like, my divorce was because my partner was such a hiker. And let's be honest, it's mostly the guys that are doing the leaving and the girls that are being behind here. So, but I thought it was interesting. And to add to all this, like one of the lead examples that these articles give is the story that we talked about with the Austrian climber in Switzerland remember, Nick, we talked about that where he pushed his girlfriend to climb and then abandoned her when she couldn't move.
Yeah, I was going to say the story about where the guy tried to kill his girlfriend, or successfully did. That's pretty much what it sounded like.
Yeah. So, and he was found guilty.
Sad story.
Yeah. But he had like a 5-month suspended sentence and €9,400 fine for leaving his girlfriend on the mountain, and she died. So
yeah, that's very tragic.
Which is crazy. But I pulled a couple of stories that we've talked about in the past here, Nick. But before we do that, I just think like even like not even the Alpine divorce or the relationship thing. I will say though, from a relationship perspective, one of the pieces of advice I've given my daughters in the past is like, if you're dating somebody new, one of the milestones where you can sort of get a sense on how compatible you are with somebody. And I don't recommend doing this like right away, but there will come a time where you're dating somebody and the decision's made that you're going to go on like a longer trip. And it could be a 3 or 4 day trip. It could be like a 1 week trip. I think for me, it was like we went to Las Vegas for like 4 or 5 days. And that was the first time where it was just as a couple and nobody else around. And that's when you sort of get a sense on whether or not you're a compatible couple. That's when you really know, like, okay, yeah, I enjoy spending time with this person, and I want to do that more often than not. But I feel like sometimes maybe these hiking situations this is the first time we've really gone out on our own together, and maybe that it doesn't work out for them. I don't know.
It could be, or it could be a tumultuous relationship all along. People see red flags and just keep going.
They do. And there's like there is two buckets of stories that I'm going to cover here, where there's like the married couples where the husband sort of goes off and they've been together for a while and goes off on trail. And then there's the newly meeting couple here. So one of the stories that we covered a while ago, like when the early days of the podcast started, there was a woman from Saugus, Massachusetts that had met a man online from Arizona. And they had been talking for a while, and this man was a police officer in Phoenix, and the 31-year-old woman from Massachusetts, she was out visiting him for the first time, and they decided, she flew in, stayed overnight at his house, and then the next morning they went out and went for a hike. Supposedly this gentleman had been experienced hiker in this area. They hiked Camelback Mountain. It's 104 degrees. I mean, I don't know, Sarah, if you've been out in the West Coast, out in the West at all, but like the heat is so insane out there. Like 8 or 10 miles to us is like 4 miles for them, maybe. So, but unfortunately, like they did split up on the trail, and they had no water, no protection from the sun, and the officer, or the guy, he ended up like finding his way into some neighborhood and called an Uber to get back to his car. But he had left the woman, and the woman unfortunately passed away, heat exhaustion and dehydration. So terrible story. And then the officer was cleared like a month later by the police department, and the family sort of feels like there was more to it, but it turned out he was like with another woman, had 2 kids with this woman. So it was a whole weird thing where I don't even know what he was up to with having this poor lady from Massachusetts visit him, but yeah, he abandoned her on the trail.
Wow, this is a Netflix special.
Seriously, I don't know why. It should be a Netflix special, seriously. And then there's a couple of other cases. There's currently a case ongoing in Hawaii of a married couple that the husband tried to attack his wife. He's a doctor. He tried to hit her with a syringe and then throw her off a cliff. And then she luckily was, I guess, saved by 2 women that came upon her. So he's on trial right now. So this case is ongoing. I think the wife just testified in his trial like this week. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But that happened in Oahu. So crazy story.
Aren't they like one big happy island or something? Isn't that?
Yeah. You would think so, but
can't do that in paradise.
Yeah, I don't know. It's right in the area that I had hiked when I was there in October. So it's a nice area. I can imagine doing that. And then there was another case here in New Hampshire where a married couple had hiked the Boulder Loop back in like 2019 or 2020. And this was a weird case. The couple was a youth pastor out of Pelham, New Hampshire, and his wife. And they had gone for a hike on the Boulder Loop, and he had tried to attack her on the Boulder Loop. She had escaped, and then he had been arrested for, I think, attempted murder or maybe assault. and she was able to escape luckily. But in the trial, I think it was one of these deals where she didn't want to testify during a full trial, so they just basically cut a deal, and he ended up serving like a limited amount of time. But he's all walking around too, so it is a little bit of a, just pick wisely who you're partnering with. And I think in general, just when it comes to hiking, like if you feel like you're getting abandoned by somebody on the trail, try not to panic, but like I would say immediately turn around. Don't keep following them, and don't be shy about speaking up to people to say like, hey, don't abandon me, stay with me. Because I think people are sometimes like too nervous to confront their partners about this stuff. But I feel like the deal is you stay together and you sort of set those ground rules ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, we've all hiked in groups a lot, and that's kind of something that nobody should really be leaving you completely by yourself. Like, it's one thing to maybe be a couple minutes behind the trail, but if you truly are completely alone, like that should never really happen unless it's something that's discussed extensively beforehand and sort of those ground rules are set. And even then, it's not really good practice to ever do that.
Right. Exactly. Somebody has to take like a bathroom break, or
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes pace is going uphill. Like I get it. Like, but I always wait for people at the trail split, so there's no chance of them breaking off. So anyway, but yeah, that's Alpine divorce. I miss anything on this one?
I don't think so. It did remind me briefly of in my dating career pre Ash that I had a girlfriend that wasn't into the beach at all, and I surfed a lot, and pretty much when I figured out that she didn't actually like the beach, that kind of ended things, because at that time it was just like, I don't know how you can not like the beach, which maybe was me being a dick looking back in retrospect and not being understanding, but like, this just isn't going to work. Like, I had a lot of friends that surfed at the time and whatnot, and I was like, and I grew up around the beach a lot as a kid, and I'm like, I don't know how you grow up in Rhode Island, Mass, New Hampshire, like anywhere in New England, and don't like the beach exclusively. To me, it was kind of odd. So,
right.
Yeah. Anyways, memories.
Yeah. I Mrs. Mike, she's not a big hiker, but like we'll go out occasionally. Yeah. And but she's faster than I am, so I don't have an issue. If anything, I'm getting dropped. So all right.
Well, speak up if you feel concerned, Mike.
Exactly. I will speak up, and she'll tell me to be quiet. So, all right. This one, I bet you Stomp pulled this because Stomp is on the electric vehicle kick here, but. Two Williston, Vermont schools closed after Wednesday night due to an electric school bus fire. So Vermont's been having problems with these electric buses. I think that they had went heavy with the electric buses for schools and for Burlington, Vermont public transportation because they had been able to get a bunch of grants to get government money to purchase electric buses, but it's sort of at the expense of the gas-powered buses, so they don't have a huge fleet anymore of gas-powered. And unfortunately, with Vermont and the weather, I think like the electric vehicles work pretty well in the warmer weather, but not great in the winter. And one of the problems with these buses is that they can't charge them inside. So when it gets really cold, sometimes they can't charge them. So in Burlington, their whole fleet, they had a problem with their fleet where they couldn't charge them for a period of time because of the cold spell, and then they wouldn't allow them inside because of the fire risk. And in this case here, 4 of these electric school buses caught on fire. I'm assuming one of them caught on fire and then the other one's caught on fire next to it, but kind of an interesting story here. So I'll link this in the show notes. But yeah, these electric buses seem to be causing a lot of headaches for Vermont right now.
I wonder if the bus was running or was it just parked and...
I don't know. It said overnight.
I think they said it was just parked charging overnight, and
it's terrifying.
It's like, they burn real good. It's like a skeleton left on them.
You talk like a man that's burned an electric car.
Do I? Yeah. That's concerning.
It is like my brother was telling me that one of his friends had a fire in his house down here. I live in like the North Shore of Massachusetts, and he had a fire in his house, and they think that it was because his computer was plugged in. Like I leave my computer plugged in like all night. Like I don't even think twice about it. But they think that they pinpointed it to his computer, and the house completely burnt down.
Wow.
So it makes me think maybe I won't plug my computer in anymore.
Yeah.
We had a toaster growing up that wouldn't shut off all the time correctly, that we used to unplug all the time.
Yeah.
Which I'm questioning why my parents just didn't get a new toaster. Now that I'm thinking more about it, but we just unplugged the toaster.
Because it still works. You just have to...
it still worked. It could start. It was just a giant fire hazard, but it was still fine other than that.
I feel like a toaster was an investment in like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. I think we have I think my mom has a new toaster now. I'll have to ask her. I hope so. Anyways.
Yeah, that'll be good. So, yeah, my dad used to put. This is the weirdest thing ever. I tell the story. My dad would let the ashes in the wood stove like cool overnight, and then he would shovel them out into a paper. We'd have these paper bags that we would get from the grocery store. So he would put the ashes in the paper bag and then like leave it next to the wood stove and then eventually take it out. But one time, like the ashes were still warm and it started a fire in our house. So luckily we were all home when it happened, so we were able to take it out. But I'm like, I always talk about, I'm like, Dad, what were you thinking putting like ashes in a paper bag? It's like the craziest thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah, we used to have like a pail.
Yes.
Yeah, like a metal bin or something. Even like we had a wood stove at my parents' house. Remember that? But yeah, it's one of those things though. It's funny as a kid, like you don't question that because that's what your parents are doing. Like, why are you putting ashes in a paper bag?
Yeah, I'm like, my dad's crazy.
Like carpet on the ground and stuff or whatever. You're like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I feel like we did have one of those metal buckets too, but I feel like he put like the paper bag inside of it to line it so that he didn't make it dirty or something. I don't know. I got to ask my dad like, what he was thinking. So anyway, but these electric buses went up. So good luck to the fine people in Vermont with their electric buses here.
Yes.
All right, Sarah, you ever get a tick on you?
Oh my gosh. I just went out this weekend looking for antlers. I looked down, I had 8 of them crawling up my leg.
Already?
Yes.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
Yeah.
Already. What is that called when you go hunting for antlers?
Shed hunting.
Shed hunting.
But I don't tell people that because they think I'm out looking for sheds.
Right. So what is this the time of the year to do it?
Yes. So I just learned all about this. They shed late January to March. So you want to find it now before, things start to grow and flourish.
Is there like a certain like telltale sign of an area where you say like, all right, this is there could be a shed around, or is it just random luck? Poop. You see poop, You follow the poop. Okay. And then do they usually stick around to one general area over the winter?
I don't really know. I'm not really a deer expert, but I'm good at looking for things on the ground. So
how many of these sheds have you found?
I just started and I found one and it's huge.
Oh, awesome.
I saw a picture on Instagram, so that's the one.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay.
I even brought it to the gym with me. I was just riding that high, showing everybody that didn't ask about it.
Will you like polish it up and stuff, or do you have to keep it natural?
Well, I'm going to go and find the other one. Hopefully I can find, so I can have a matching set. And then, I don't know, mount it. Something.
You should make a hat with it. You make your own hat.
Could you imagine? It's heavy, though. It's heavy. Now I get, like, that deer must feel so good when those antlers fall off its head.
They're dense, right? They're very dense.
Got weight to it.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
That's really neat.
Yeah, all right. So that's interesting. So what got you into like doing that as a hobby?
My boyfriend's a hunter, and I won't.
He's a hunter.
I won't like kill animals, but this is my kind of hunting. I will gladly pick up stuff that falls off an animal.
And what is he doing while you're doing that? Is he thinking about like, all right, this is going to be my strategy next hunting season?
But he's got ADD, and I think he looks too fast. You really got to go slow. Look around. Yeah, he was bumming that he walked right over that last antler and I picked it right up.
And then you don't generally you don't have to like hunters don't really travel too far from the road, right? It's like like a half a mile, quarter mile max or so.
I think it's something like a mile and a half.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's good. And then how long has he been doing it? Was he jealous that you found one right away?
Yeah, he's been doing this for a long time. He's found a smaller one, but apparently the one I got is quite rare because it's so big, especially for New Hampshire.
I wonder if this is like that case. You know how like when you bring somebody new that doesn't know how to play poker and you bring them to the poker game and they're really good at it right away, and then everyone's like, oh, don't bring the new person. I'm wondering if it's just like there's a beginner luck. They'll get you find your shed and then they get you.
I don't know. The other day I also found some AirPods on the side of the road.
Oh yeah, never found them.
I've always been looking in the grass, looking at the road, picking stuff up.
Good.
You can find so much stuff.
No wonder you had 8 ticks on you. So, and then what do you do when you remove them? What's your technique for removing them?
I rip them right off, throw all my clothes in the washer, and then go take a shower immediately, and then flinch anytime anything touches me for the next week and a half.
Right. Yeah, I do. I get freaked out when I know they're crawling on me. So, but the reason I bring this up is it's that time of the year. So we just want to remind people to be safe with ticks. So March is Tick Awareness Month. And then we've always talked about this basically every year, but there's a couple of things that you just need to be aware of. So you want to avoid it. So you're basically breaking all of these rules, Sarah. So avoid where ticks live. Ticks thrive in places like wood piles, leaf litter, long grass, beach grass, bushy areas, stone walls, and perimeters where the lawn meets the wood. So basically anywhere you could find a deer shed is where you will find a tick.
Really good for finding antlers.
Oh, because they rub against them.
Oh, because they jump over it and it can knock it loose.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It says to wear light-colored clothing, not so much to repel the ticks, but to make spotting them more easier. Long-sleeve shirts tucked in at the waist, long pants tucked into high socks, closed-toed shoes, and a hat with your hair tucked in. Do not walk in the grass barefoot or in open sandals. I love walking in the grass barefoot.
It's no better feeling.
Same.
I know. So they recommend, this is from the Global Lyme Alliance. So they recommend EPA-approved tick repellent such as Picardin or DEET to skin, and then insecticide such as permethrin to clothes and shoes. And there's a video that I'll link to show how to do that. I have treated my shoes and clothes in permethrin in years past. They do recommend removing all clothes upon entering. That's immediately what I do. Whenever I enter the house, I take all my clothes off. So I'm kidding. First thing. Hold on. Remove the clothes after entering the house. Toss into the dryer at high heat for 10 or 15 minutes to kill the live ticks.
Oh, I'm putting them in a washer to clean them first.
Yeah, it says to do the dryer first because putting them in the washer will not kill them.
Well, you're not wearing your clothes wet. So, I mean, I think that's okay. It ends up in the dryer eventually.
That's true. Examine yourself and your pets for ticks daily. Feel for bumps, paying close attention to the back of knees, groin, armpits, in and behind the ears, belly button, and scalp. Check everywhere. Ticks love to hide where the sun doesn't shine. So, and it goes on to talk about removing ticks. So they say to save the tick in a sealable bag with the date of the removal. It says do not twist or agitate the tick. Do not drown the tick in oil or petroleum jelly.
It's very specific.
It could spread. That's what I had heard, is that you're supposed to put like Vaseline on the tick and it'll drown it. So, but I guess that spreads pathogens.
So I just squish them and put them in the trash.
Yeah.
Right.
And it says to get your tick tested and then monitor the bite area closely and then consult with your doctor. So, just be aware about ticks. But my advice is to treat your clothes with permethrin, and then when you're hiking, I always say walk on the rocks as much as you can. Just hop on rocks, because ticks, for some reason, I don't know, I have it in my head that they don't go on rocks. So,
is this
that's true. I don't know if that's true, but I've had good luck with just hopping on rocks the whole time. So.
And definitely long grass, I feel like, in brush is not great, especially if you've seen deer paths and other things going through it.
Right. So, duct tape, bring duct tape with you before you get in the car. Hit your legs with that. I know people will bring those lint rollers as well. That's another good option.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, before you get in the car. Like if you're hiking, duct tape you can hit the bottom of your legs with, and then like the lint roller as well is a good thing. So
I know if you're pulling them off too, this comes to mind. So actually when we were at Satchewest Point down in Newport, like, I don't know, a month or two back now, my daughter actually had one on the side of her scalp, and it kind of hadn't gotten fully in her yet, but I was able to kind of pluck it out quickly. But yeah, you don't want to, like, if you have tweezers and it's starting to burrow itself in either you or someone else, it's gross, but you got to kind of be careful with tweezers and sort of carefully pluck them out. You don't want to leave any piece of the tick behind.
Right. So I feel like your area too, like Southeast Mass, is known for being like the worst area.
For sure. So. Yeah. I mean, I've never, knock on wood, I've gotten them at Wachusett. I don't think I've ever gotten a tick up in New Hampshire before. Though, again, I've always gone more further north in the Whites, where there's probably not as much grass and a lot of crap. Got no matter what you said, but around here for sure, when I was doing a lot of fishing during COVID, like too many times I was kind of getting them around going through fields or into brush and stuff like that. And we actually get our yard sprayed around here because we just don't want to mess around with it. We do like whatever the green option is for it, but it works and we don't see too much. So.
Are you ready for SLASR's beer review?
Very good. So stay safe out there. And then This is the part of the show where we talk about gear and equipment. So Nick, you got a couple here: exoskeleton legs for search and rescue, and then zip ties. What do you got here?
Sure. So this was super cool. So Stomp actually had sent this over to us, and I believe Pemi is actually getting some of these to actually demo and test out. But they're actually a form of exoskeleton legs. So there's a couple different companies that are actually sort of working on different things like this. Very, very cool. Sort of made to aid. I'm guessing that the idea would be to help people walk out with these. I'm actually not sure what the intention would be. I'm assuming it would be for people to walk out if they had some sort of lower leg injury. But seems that they're kind of getting to the point, some of these companies, and this one specifically, are getting to the point where they can actually kind of trying to use them in the field and see how practical they are. So, pretty neat stuff. It's kind of weird looking. They sort of just wrap around your waist, and sort of your hip joints, and then you got one that sort of attaches to your knee, and they're sort of meant to help you walk and provide a little bit of power.
It's supposed to speed up your ability to go uphill because it's basically an assist on your quads, which is a pretty good idea. I'd like to check it out.
E-bike, but for legs. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And this one here, I've seen a couple of models of these, and the first ones were very bulky. This one looks very lightweight, and I'm assuming that the battery's probably not super heavy on this. So I don't know how much like battery time you get on it, but it looks pretty well molded to the person's body here. So it's I'm interested.
As they call them over the pond, robot trousers.
Yeah, I wonder. Like it's probably. Something good for the elderly too in the future. Like maybe they can go places they couldn't otherwise go. So
that's where my brain went, is that like we'll be getting Mike a pair of these when he's like 80.
My brain went to people wearing them and the battery dying and them being stranded.
Oh, yeah.
That
could be bad.
That's true. Or it's setting on fire.
Right.
My pants are on fire.
My legs are getting really hot.
Yes.
What's going on here?
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, we'll link that in the show notes. And then you want to talk about metal zip ties, all right?
Sure. This is a follow-up. I meant to bring this up in our Grey Knob recap episode. And this is kind of a shout out to our friend Dave, and I think Stomp. I think it was Dave who mentioned that there was that episode where him, Navi, and Dave talked about going out to find the Lost Pass and had sort of a harrowing trip. I think it was probably around like this time of year. I don't know if it was a couple of years ago or last year. I forget now. But spring conditions, and Dave's like snowshoe basically just decided to bite the bullet. And they talked about repairing it with metal zip ties. So since I listened to that, I've carried metal zip ties in a Ziploc bag. They're just, I kind of linked them here. They're just sort of stainless steel zip ties. And Peter actually had, sort of on his Catula micro spikes, the rubber gasket actually ripped apart in one section. And he was kind of looking at it. He noticed when it was on the way up, and he noticed when we got to Grey Knob, and I was like, oh, I have a zip tie. Do you want a zip tie? And like the zip tie worked perfectly. It held for the rest of the trip. And I mean, excuse me, we're on some like ice and some other conditions, and like it held up the entire time. He used that from all the way from Grey Knob to Jefferson to back to Grey Knob and down the next day. And the zip tie held. And again, I know that too, Mike, you've sort of mentioned too, like I would imagine if you used them long enough, they might cut into your boot a little bit, kind of where that gasket was, not as much of a concern. If you were zip tying your entire foot to a snowshoe, for sure that could happen. But as far as for how much they weigh and how much room they take up, I think they're sort of a nice little gear thing to have. Yeah, right. I mean, it was great. And I mean, the one downside is I had to buy, I think it's like a 200 pack, so I'll probably have them basically forever. But really cheap, and it worked surprisingly well. So I was happy that I could supply one.
Yeah, that's good. That's it. Yeah, they're great for field repair, and I keep a couple of them on me all the time throughout the year. And I think I've had to, help people repair. I think I used one for somebody's boot repair, and then maybe I use one for snowshoes as well. But yeah, you do have to be careful about them. Like if they're rubbing against anything, they are pretty sharp. So just have duct tape on you. I think that I had to like wrap duct tape around it to sort of make it not so sharp. So, but yeah, the metal zip ties, I think those are like a no-brainer. Those are always in my pack.
Yeah, at least I don't know about year-round if I'd carry them. I think incidentally I have had them, but for sure in winter there's a lot of different gear that they could help with, whether it's your crampons or micro spikes, snowshoes, etc.
Yep.
Cool. And then you've been busy shopping up a storm, it sounds like, Mike, right?
I have been, yeah. So my Garmin Forerunner it didn't break on me, but it wasn't charging. And it was a whole production. I've been going through this for like 6 months now, where I've got to like put it in the perfect spot to charge, and then I had to put like a rock on it or some heavy weight to make it so that it wouldn't move, and then sometimes it wouldn't charge. So it's been a headache. I've had it for like 10 years, so my wife's been on me. It was my birthday, so I ended up getting a new Garmin Fenix 8 watch, which is nice and fancy. Yeah,
very nice.
Does it have the flashlight?
It does. I haven't messed with the flashlight yet, but it has like the cool thing is you can make like you can take your like mountain photos and make a watch face on it. The only thing I don't really like is it goes black when you're not. My old Forerunner was just on all the time, and I prefer that. And there's supposedly a setting that you can get it to stay on all the time, but I couldn't figure it out yet. But so far so good. I used it to track a hike, and I used the little map on the watch and everything. And nice. I have to like adjust the data fields a little bit to my liking, but otherwise it's pretty good.
Cool.
So I get a dividend back from REI. So
I can't believe you had a watch for 10 years.
Yes. Yeah. And it was pretty good. So I was happy with Garmin. So I figured this one, I'll hopefully have this one for 20. Right.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, when you like divide out the years and the cost, hopefully it'll be pretty reasonable. And then I also got a Subaru Outback this week. So my daughter's coming back from college, so she's going to take my Subaru, and then I got a new Subaru Outback 2023, which would be good. So I've heard that those are good for camping. So we'll see.
You and Steve can have an Outback party now.
Yes, I have every model. Right now I'll have a Outback, a Forester, and a Crosstrek in the driveway. Not all my daughter's got the Crosstrek, but
if you want to buy a WRX, you know where to find one.
I know. Nick's got the WRX. So yeah, so it's a big week for the McLaughlins here. So
very nice.
All right, I don't have my dad joke book ready, so we'll move on to pop culture here, Nick.
Oh, I love dad jokes. You're not going to tell me.
I'll get one. I will get one afterwards. So
okay, yeah, find that. You got to find that book.
Yep.
Hey, what's that sound? It must be time for the pop culture segment with Mike and Stomp.
So Stomp actually shot this over to me. There was a documentary that recently came out on Netflix about sort of the beginning of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which I was not familiar with. It's called The Rise of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Our Brother Hillel. And Hillel was actually the original guitarist and one of the original founders of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So it was like maybe like an hour and a half. Really interesting hearing about sort of what the scene was like in LA and how Flea and sort of everybody met each other and how they got sort of their different nicknames and whatnot, how they became a band essentially, and also sort of a story I didn't know about a competing band that several of them were in at the time that the Red Hot Chili Peppers sort of splintered off from. Talked a little about the writing process. Unfortunately, their guitarist Hillel passed away from an overdose. They were talking about how kind of the drug scene was crazy and also just being rock stars at the time and the pressures of that and sort of the duality of a lot of the super creative people seeming to succumb to these drug addictions and sort of issues like early on. But really good stuff. Thank you, Stomp, for the rec. And then while I was thinking of this, I ended up kind of going back watching and rewatching this with Ash because she hadn't seen it the first time. But there's actually a Led Zeppelin documentary on Netflix as well. I think it's made by the same people that did the Red Hot Chili Peppers one, called Becoming Led Zeppelin. This was really good.
Is this the one where they were in Iceland?
I don't think there was any Iceland in it.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Not that I recall. but it's on the beginning of Led Zeppelin where they started, which was really cool. My only gripe with this one is it stops like after Led Zeppelin, like their first album, or maybe Led Zeppelin 2 comes out, and it's like right where they really start ramping up after they tour in the US and stuff. Where I think I'd like to hear, like, I want them to do a part 2 of this where you hear a little bit more after Led Zeppelin really, really blew up and sort of became the iconic band that kind of we know of them and refer back to them as today. But really good. So if you're looking for some music docs to watch, I'd recommend both of those.
Okay, I'll check this Led Zeppelin one out. I saw one where they were in Iceland. It talked about like the very early days of them writing some of their early albums, but this is a different one. So
okay.
We all know that hiking a mountain can be hard at times. So here's a corny dad joke to help you get over it. Ba-dum-bum.
So, all right, Sarah, I had gone. All right, so how do you make an angry snowman calm down?
I know if I think about this long enough, I can come up with the answer.
You tell him to take a chill pill.
I was going to say chill out.
Yes, all right. What is a snowman's favorite breakfast food?
Frosted Flakes.
Oh, you got that.
Oh, that was good.
Ooh, wow, she's
quick.
Good. She's quick. Good. So, where does Jack Frost keep his money?
In
a snowbank.
Oh.
All right.
Icebox could work there.
Yeah, so it's getting to be too warm to do the Christmas ones. I got to dig out my other book. So
yeah,
there you go.
Some tick jokes.
Tick jokes. All right, we'll have to get some. So all right. So if you want free SLASR stickers, you can get those at the Mountain Wanderer in Lincoln, New Hampshire, and Spinner's Pizza Parlor in Andover, Mass. So go check those out. And then if you want SLASR swag, you can check out our Bonfire shop. Choose between our super popular hoodies, classic or V-neck t-shirts, and more. The color selection is great, and they are priced to move, so help spread the word about SLASR and represent today. And then if you want to show your support for the podcast, donate to SLASR's Buy Me a Coffee site. Donations help us pay for web hosting, distribution, live events, and Subaru Outbacks.
Yeah. Yes.
So, and then a shout out to Cindy Masichi. Masichi?
That's how I would pronounce it.
Yeah,
thank you, Cindy.
She sent over 3 coffees to us, so thank you so much for your support.
Hey, hold my beer. It's time to find out what Mike and Stomp are drinking. On this week's Beer Talk.
Moving on, this is the part of the show where we talk about beer. What are we drinking, Nick?
Do you have anything tonight? Anybody have anything?
I'm going healthy.
I have water with electrolytes.
Nice. I don't even have electrolytes. I just have regular water.
So I'm on my normal Athletic Brewing Co. weeknight podcast deal as usual. But I did want to shout out over the weekend, Jake, Ash, Peter, and I stopped at Black Mountain Burger Co. in Lincoln on the way back after hiking Garfields. And I had a couple Landers Amber Ale, which is brewed by Rockingham Brewing Co. over in Derry specifically for Black Mountain. And it's a good beer. I've never checked. I bought some other beers by Rockingham. I've never checked out the brewery before. So maybe I'll have to swing by there sometime. I know I've driven by Derry and Londonderry probably 100 times now, but I've never swung over that area of New Hampshire.
Nice. Look at us all healthy tonight. Proud of us. We did well. So
great.
I can't believe you're just raw dog and water. Like no electrolytes. There's no flavor.
I know.
Raw dogging water.
I did have my wife gets this. It's probably not good for you, but she gets this like lemonade soda from Trader Joe's, and I just have a small glass because I know soda's not good for you, but it's so good. So that's why I can handle the water. So anyway.
I knew we should have gone left back there.
Stop, don't worry. I know it's this way. I've got a feeling in my gut.
Are you sure you're not about to have a bowel emergency?
Totally. We got this.
But I just blew out my hip. Fell down that gully with my 40-year-old microspikes.
Suck it up, Stomp. It's 4 p.m. We're at 3,500 feet. We got 9 miles back to the parking lot. Your leg may be broken. We got no cell connection, and we can't feel our fingers. But we're finishing all of my list tonight. By the way, I need some water. I'm empty.
I would if I could see what I'm doing, but my headlamp batteries are dead.
You gotta be kidding me. What a chump. This is the last time I hike with you.
Ha, whatever, mister.
Do you know me? I have a podcast.
Whatever.
Let's find out what Mike and Stomp have been hiking.
So now's the part of the show where we talk about where we've been hiking recently. So Sarah, I don't know, have you been out hiking at all recently?
I have. I did isolation this week.
You did?
Oh, and it was perfect because it was a cold spell. So we wore spikes, no snowshoes. It was perfection. That probably only lasted like a day.
Did you go across? So was Engine Hill broken out so you could follow that pretty easily?
Engine Hill and ISO Express whack.
Really?
Super obvious.
So,
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you went right up Rocky Branch and just did the regular traditional route. No Glen Boulder.
No Glen Boulder. We did run into some girls that had come up Glen Boulder. I don't know what they were thinking. They got to the summit, then they took the whack back down and were trying to thumb a ride back to their car. I don't think they planned that day.
Yeah. People, that's a classic trap. I think people think like, okay, they think that's like, okay, it's reasonable to either thumb a ride. I guess thumbing a ride's more reasonable, but like they'll think like, oh, I can actually hike back to Glen Boulder. Like that's a long distance. People don't think about that.
It is. And it's another 1,000 feet of gain. Because I did that.
Right.
In the summertime, it's not bad. I went up Glen Boulder, down Rocky Branch, and then walked, there's a ski trail that connects it back to my car. I mean, It wasn't bad when it's beautiful, but that's not what you want to do in the winter.
No. Do you get out a lot in the winter?
I do. Yes.
You do?
Yeah. I don't do well just hanging out at home. I need to be out, moving, doing something.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah. Isolation. Me and Nick did that like 2 years ago. But yeah, I think our friend Jake is finishing his 4,000 footer. So, but we're waiting for warmer weather so we can do the Glen Boulder thing and head down there.
It is iconic, if they haven't done it yet, to get the picture next to the boulder.
Yep. Yeah. And just that view of like on the Davis Path, like hiking down towards Isolation, but above tree line, right below Boot Spur. Like that's one of my favorite views.
It's beautiful.
Going down. Yeah.
Yeah, I was joking with Jake the other day. I'm like, there was a nice New England trail conditions report for Isolation, but he wants to wait for like a nicer day and get a good crew together and not do it in the winter. I was saying too, if you to go back up to Boot Spur really isn't that much more if you're going on the way back or whatever and go down Boot Spur Trail, which I had done last time I was out there and not in snow.
Yeah.
Nice day. Long day, but a fun day.
Well, all right. Well, that's I feel like that's better hikes than mine. But Nick, where you've been out? You got out a lot, right?
Yeah, I'm catching up a little bit because it's been like 2 weeks for the listeners since we've actually recorded. Couple weekends ago, I got up with Rylan, my daughter. He's like a little over 3.5 now to the Blue Hills. Did a loop out from like the basically around Great Blue Hill. Really had a fun day. It's funny I hadn't been back there since the last time I went with her was the day before my son was born, which is October 25th. So it's been a bit, and seen her kind of on the trails around here and even up in New Hampshire. We did like Willard, but it was really crazy to see how much her footwork and coordination has just progressed.
She looks good
since
out there.
Like October. Yeah, she's pretty. It's funny how I've gone from kind of holding her hand a lot. I'm still holding her hand in spots, but like I had to tell her to slow down like a lot because she was like frankly just like sprinting down the trail, and I'm like, dude, we need to hit the brakes a little bit. And the amount of time she like if she stumbled at all, I think I was just being a dad, but she started saying like I'm okay before I could ask her if she was okay. So I think I was starting to annoy her afterwards. She's like, I'm okay. I'm like, I'm good. But yeah, she did really well. We had a great day. There was a little bit of snow and ice kind of lingering in between, which was kind of surprising. But nothing like the whites, of course, but a couple spots where we just had to be careful. It was wet, but that was a fun day. Then ended up taking sort of an impromptu day off this past Wednesday and got up and hit Tom Field Willey Avalon by myself. I probably hit sort of that cold spell like you were talking about, Sarah, sort of midweek. I kind of looked at the forecast and had some extra vacation time that I didn't think I was going to have, and was like, I think it'll be a good time to knock. I needed them for spring, mainly was my main goal, and I also didn't have them for March. But yeah, it was like perfect snowshoe track up to Tom. Snowshoes stayed on all day. really nice conditions. It was cold in the morning and warmed up in the afternoon. Things got sticky, but sun ended up coming out. Really nice clouds, blue skies, really good visibility. So that was a fun day. And then got out with Ash, my wife, and Peter, Jake, and Dave this past Sunday. We had Meme Lisa watch the kids, and we were very thankful that we had some time to get up there, and we ended up doing Mount Garfield, which I needed for spring. And I think everybody, after we saw the trail report, like someone mentioned, not having to even use spikes really the day or two before. So we got out on it while it was still all frozen up, and river crossings were a bit challenging. But other than that, it was just a really nice day. We had some good views. It was chilly up top, but it was nice.
How was the final climb right below the summit? That's always a steep section there. Was that
steep, icy? Yeah. No, it wasn't bad. We had to be more careful going down just because it was kind of mushy snow. Yeah. But it was in good shape. And I did want to shout out what we're pretty sure. In the lot, we noticed there was someone's car, and maybe they're a listener, but someone's car had a 576/75 sticker. So we got kind of curious looking up the different people who it could have been, because they have this stuff listed on the grid site. And it looks like this particular individual has done the grid over like 75, and they've also done it over 60 and over 65, like 2 times each. So it's one of those people, like whenever you think you've hiked a lot, it's just you meet these people in the whites. And he was super nice. He had his dog, Lucy, with him, who was very intent on eating Ash's peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Nice.
While around the summit of Garfield staring at it. Yeah, he was a really nice dude to chat with, and that is an impressive feat, to say the least.
Yeah, you do meet like these old timer gritters out there. Like I met somebody on Bondcliff before, and I met two women in on Jackson one time that were like, I think over 70 gritters too.
That's awesome.
And there's a whole little group of them, which is impressive.
And I did want to shout, I met one, it's the first time I've had it happen on trail, but a listener recognized me from the podcast, or probably the podcast Instagram. It was like, "Are you Nick from SLASR?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And we were going up Garfield, and it was nice crossing listener Reed out there. He was out hiking as well. So thanks for saying hi. Sorry, we were kind of in the middle of going up Garfield, so I kind of said hi quick and kept going.
Gotta go.
But it was nice crossing you up there.
I'm in the hurt locker. Let me climb. So.
Yeah.
But, that's good. So, yeah, I got out a couple of times. I was on Moosalok with Paul and Sarah, other Sarah, and we were like in the parking lot. It was one of those days where the weather was supposed to clear up. So when I was in the parking lot, we went up via, what is that, Gorge Brook? The one by the
Ravine Lodge.
Yeah, the Ravine Lodge. Yeah. So we parked there, and it was cloudy. But when I was waiting for them, I was like 15 minutes early. Everything cleared up. It was blue sky. And I was like, oh, we're going to get some views. And then we started hiking, and then like the clouds just started coming in again. And like the actually cloud ceiling dropped even lower. So when we got up there, it's not that long of a hike. It wasn't too long. But it was just whiteout conditions. So it was just, we got to the summit. We turned, originally we were like, if we have views, we'll just loop around and we'll go over to South Peak and then come back down Carriage Road and then cut across, like, was it Snapper Trail or one of those? But we just didn't even bother doing that. We just went up and down. But it was good. We saw a bunch of people. We saw Eric, Nick, who you had, me and you had worked with him on trail adopter training. He was one of the guys that was in the class with us. So
cool. Yeah, I recall.
Yeah, talking to him for a little while, and then saw Captain Chris and a whole crew of other
awesome
hikers that are well known on social media. So it was fun to see everybody.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
I've been getting out too. Good.
Yep, it was good, and we were done by like noontime too. So I got home.
Oh wow! What time did you start?
Yeah. Oh, I think like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we were done. Yeah, we were done pretty quick. So, which is good. And then this weekend I hiked Mount Cube with Tom, Jay, and Paul Gamel, and I hadn't gone up there in a long time. My friend Jay is looking to finish the 52 with a view, so he's like, I don't know, he's like 22 or 23, and the hiking bug has hit him hard, so he wanted to get out. So I was like, we'll do Mount Cube, and the only way I've ever done it, we probably should have done the whatever that is, the Cross Rivendell Trail, but we didn't do that. We did the Mount Cube Trail from 25A, which is essentially like the going southbound on the Appalachian Trail. And I didn't remember, but there's a river crossing that you have to go through, and it took us about 40 minutes to scout a place to cross. And we ultimately didn't find any good options. So we just...
You guys get wet at all, or you just kind of...
We didn't get wet, but we definitely the places that we were able to get across were rock hops, where areas where the water was flowing really hard. So if we did go in, it was going to be a little ugly, but we made it across slowly. And and then went up, but it's very like a lot of ice flows, micro spikes on the whole time. But the views up there are really nice. Like it was kind of a cloudy day, but the ceiling was very high, so you had nice views out to in both directions, in both the main peak and then also the north summit. So which was good.
Yeah, I remember the north summit. I'd done it a while back with my buddy Mike Cordero, and we did like the Quintown Road parking area, and then we sort of hooked up to, I think it's Kodiak Trail up like basically the AT over. But I remember the main peak was kind of cool, but like the north peak, Moosilauke is just like right in front of you, and it's like really beautiful.
Yeah. There's a lot of like different ledges you can go. It kind of reminds me of Caribou a little bit out in Maine, but you can just travel on those ledges for a long ways. But yeah, Mount Cube is a spectacular mountain. I really like it. It's not super hard, but with the water crossing, we had to scout. We went down maybe like an eighth of a mile, quarter of a mile downstream, didn't find anything, and then we went probably an eighth of a mile or a quarter mile upstream, and then found a spot to cross, and then we had to bushwhack back to the trail. So it was a little bit of an adventure. It took a lot longer than probably it would have normally taken, but it's this time of the year. I wasn't giving up. I think some of them were talking about maybe we'll just turn around and we'll come from another direction, but I was like, no, we're getting over. So it was good to have hiking poles with us.
Oh yeah, I can't do a water crossing without them.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know what's tricky this time of the year is that there's just enough. The water's running fast, but there's just enough ice on the rocks that the rocks are slippery. But then you also can't necessarily tell where the rock ends and the ice begins. So you have to hit with your pole and then decide, like, all right, this is the most solid section of the rock to step on. So that's what we were dealing with a little bit. And then it was like a lot of long distance. Not really jumps, but straddling rocks, and then you've got water going over the rocks really fast. So it's just a balance thing.
And you need long legs.
I'm short too, so that's the problem.
You got the tall people that can just walk from rock to rock, and then we are.
Yeah, but coming back, I was like, I don't really care because if I get wet, it's a half a mile or a mile to the car, so I'll live. But we made it across. I think the water slowed down from the time that we crossed it, and then when we came back, it was a little bit slower. So anyway, good adventure.
It's time for SLASR's Guest of the Week. Very cool, very cool.
All right, so this is now the part of the show, Sarah, where you are the star of the show. So this is your segment, and Nick, do you want to take it away with this one?
Sure. So Sarah, you were brought to us, or whatever, how you were going to call it. We got your contact info from Dave, apparently, who was creating fake Instagram accounts to message you and get your contact info. But he brought to our attention. So he's like, you got to check out this person, Sarah. She's a one-lunged hiker, athlete, and her story's pretty incredible. So that's why we ended up reaching out to you, and we're grateful that you took the time to come sit here with us. It's been great so far. You've been a great guest. I'm just going to be honest.
Awesome.
And I don't know if you just want to introduce yourself to the listeners and kind of get started.
Sure. So I've always been an active person, hiking, biking, fitness, lifting weights. So I think having a solid baseline to start from really allowed me to be where I am today. As somebody that, I track my food. I take everything. If I'm going to do something, it's 110%. And over time, things started becoming more difficult. And, you tell yourself, I'm just getting old. It's old age. Like I'm 40s. I'm not old enough to be struggling that bad, but that's what I would tell myself. And it's not until, I lost like 20 pounds without trying. My best friend said, Sarah, you need to go to a doctor. And I'm anti-doctor. I'm like, I'm fine. But eventually I went. And I mean, the thing that really pushed me to go is I was hiking Adams for a friend's 48 finish, and I could not keep up. And I was like, I can't do this, which has never crossed my mind ever. It's usually not, I can't do this. It's, this sucks. This is hard, but it'll be fun when I'm back home thinking about it. But this was that one time, it just wasn't happening.
So just in terms of being able to catch your breath, or just sort of your overall cardio level, did it like sort of take you by surprise where like something just isn't going on?
Like I kind of had a feeling something was up because of the weight loss. I couldn't catch my breath, and it just felt so hard keeping up with my friends, which is nothing I was ever concerned with before. So I was like, I can't do this. And I remember calling a friend to come pick me up at the trailhead. And that was it. That was the time that said, you should probably go to the doctor.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the hardest parts of losing a lung would be not knowing if I could still do this life. So leading up to it, I did have a collapsed lung with a massive tumor in it, but I was still hiking. Like, you weren't going to tell me I'm not going to stay home and suffer. I'm going to suffer doing something I love. So I was still climbing mountains. I was doing 20-mile multi-peak hikes with a collapsed lung. People would say, well, how did you not know? There were signs, but you don't know the signs until after the fact. I would be mountain biking and feel a twinge in my shoulder. Come to realize that that's a sign your lung is collapsed or has collapsed. But normal people don't think like that. Like, how would I ever know?
Well, you're also probably, you had a higher baseline of fitness so that your tolerance for those activities is probably like it, in some ways it's if you didn't have that level of fitness, you probably would have known sooner that like, okay, there's something seriously wrong.
I think about that too. But I also I think like a lot of athletes have it where when something feels hard, it's because you're not pushing yourself enough. And that's what my brain would tell me. It's like, you're just getting weak. You're just getting weak, Sarah. But once we did find out what was going on, I mean, I wasn't going to stop hiking. I wasn't going to stop biking because I didn't know what the rest of my life would look like. I did research if there was one lung athletes. You're not going to find many results. I think I found one guy that has one lung and he was a runner, but I really wasn't finding anything. And I would, like everybody does, you Google what's going on with you, like my symptoms. And I could never find anything because I'm one of 7 or 8 people worldwide that had the tumor that I had.
So the tumor, was it a type of cancer or just sort of a benign tumor?
It was a benign, rare tumor. I went to Mass General for it. They had never seen anything. It was the size of a grapefruit.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So they had never seen anything like it. All the medical notes talk about how they've never seen something like this, but they've read about it in literature. And that's such a crazy thing. Because you look at, medical establishments as they're going to help me through this. And even when they were confused, it was hard. It was hard. But I think now that I'm on the other side, I'm definitely stronger. I mean, mentally definitely stronger. Like if I could do this with a collapsed lung, I can do this with one lung. And over time, just keep doing what I'm doing, your remaining lung does get stronger. So you all have a right lung and a left lung, and they both kind of stay on either side of your body. My right lung has become so big that it goes over the center line.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Because I was going to ask, like, does your sort of cardiovascular system adapt to that? But that's sort of,
it does.
Is that something too? Like how quickly did, I guess, your one lung sort of start to get stronger like that and actually, I guess, literally take up the space, but literally kind of fill that capacity? Like, did that happen within months or?
No, I'm not sure. Okay. I'd say about 20 days after my surgery, I rode my bike 20 miles. And
Wow.
I felt great. And then a month later, I hiked Tacoma. So I don't know how much is my lung growing and how much of it is me just being stubborn.
Were your doctors supportive of you being active so quickly? Or
they knew what we were dealing with. They knew it.
Okay.
I went to I had gone for that bike ride before I even went for the follow-up visit. And I can't lie. So I told the doctor, I go, hey, I just rode my bike 20 miles. He said, I knew you would. So
yeah, he's probably like, this patient is just like you're going to do what you're going to do, and like, let's just monitor it if we need to. But like, is there any, did they give you any guidance around like, look, there is a limit here, or did they just let you basically call your own shot as far as like what the limit is?
I call my own shots. I mean, they knew who they were dealing with. I mean, the whole time that I was getting all these tests, they were like, do you have shortness of breath? I said, yeah, but I mountain bike all the time and I'm climbing mountains. They're like, excuse me? And at the time, I didn't realize how outlandish it seemed or it sounded. I just knew that, being sick like that sucks, and you're going to be sad and you're going to suffer. And you can be sad and suffer on the couch, or you can be sad and suffer out in wilderness with your friends. And so they knew who they were dealing with in the beginning, so they weren't really surprised towards the end.
Right. And then, so I'll just give you a small story of my experience. One of my friends that I hike with has a pacemaker. And he was hesitant to like sort of talk about it because, he didn't want people freaking out or being nervous about it. But, he confided in me, and, we've hiked many, many times. And like, I don't even think about it now, but like in the initial stages, I would like literally think about, like, Jesus, like something happens out there. Like, first of all, I'm going to feel bad because I'm inviting him to go out hiking. And then second of all, like if something goes wrong, like, I have to manage this on trail. So I'm wondering, did you get any reaction from friends or any concerns at all?
Oh, yeah. My good friend Heather that I hike with often, she's in the medical field. So she's asking her coworkers. At this time, we didn't know that my lung was already collapsed. Yeah. She would ask her coworkers, what do I do if we're hiking and her lung collapses? My friends and I would be mountain biking, and we would talk, and I'd have to be serious with them and say, if there's an issue and something happens, this was before surgery, we need to talk about what hospital you're taking me to and where you're going to stash my bike. I love my bike. We're not just going to leave it out in the woods. Right. That was actually the first priority. My friends were very open and honest with me. I've always been stubborn. I've always been I'm going to do it, even if you say I shouldn't. So they know that. And I think we all were pretty realistic about what I should do and what they're going to have to do for me if something were to occur.
Well, I mean, I think the approach you take is like, look, I'm just going to keep moving. That's who I am. And as long as like you're not getting any medical folks that are saying like, absolutely not, you can't do it, they're working within your comfort zone. And I guess it's based on what you're saying, like even though you're down to one lung, it sounds like that lung can be pretty responsive and grow. So that's crazy. Do you do any measurements about like VO2 max or anything like that? Has that changed?
I did do a test. This is interesting. I had a test, just lung function, and I had done it, I don't know, maybe 5 months after surgery. And you're put into this booth. It looks very futuristic. It's a clear booth, and you're just breathing into a tube. And you actually work up a sweat because they're telling you how to breathe, how long to breathe. I felt tired afterwards. And the guy doing the test was just saying, this is remarkable. This is remarkable. And I'm like, man, this dude likes his job, right? Because when you're living in it, it doesn't seem special until people on the outside tell you this is something. And he told me that my one lung amongst women my age with 2 lungs, I'm average. So,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, so they are putting together, I think it's like a medical journal. They're publishing a study on what I'm capable of with one lung.
Wow. And was there ever an option for them to do like a lung transplant, or did they look into that, or were you not a candidate for that?
But this started when, like 7 years ago, they found a tumor. It was 3 inches. They did a lot of tests, a lot of biopsies, said, oh, it's not growing. I forgot the question.
Did you ever have an option for a lung transplant?
Oh, that's right.
Like
well,
to keep 2 lungs, yeah.
By the time we got to the point where it was causing problems, they just had to get it out. There's a waiting list for lungs, and there's so many factors that you have to meet, and we didn't have that kind of time. It was so big that it had cut off, it cut off oxygen and blood supply to that lung. We couldn't wait, because if it grew over to the other side, who knows what would happen.
Right. So
also, if you get new lungs put in, there are so many rules. Like, you can't go out in public for a year or something like that afterwards. Like, I wouldn't be able to handle that. Give me my one lung and set me free.
Right.
I got to think too, you being in such sort of top, like they must have had their minds blown when they think you got a collapse. Like, and my mind's blown just hearing that, but like you're hiking Mount Adams and things like that, and you have a collapsed lung. Like, to me, that is just, it's like to imagine that people with 2 lungs that are in decent shape, that's still a challenging thing to do. So I wonder too, if part of that is like I would think to some degree they must have knew you had good odds of being able to sort of do this with one lung and like improve with a really good cardiovascular baseline.
I think so. I mean, they did say interesting things when they were telling me about the surgery. They're like, well, you have a lot of muscle in your lats. We're going to cut through that. I'm like, oh, so you're saying I'm muscular? I was just hearing what I want to hear at that point. But they said I definitely not the typical person that's losing a lung. Most people aren't climbing mountains with a collapsed one. And the doctor, he was so kind. I asked him every question under the sun, and I would just be crying because I didn't know what was on the other side. I couldn't imagine a life not mountain biking or not standing on top of a mountain, drinking a beer with my friends. Like, that was never going to be an option for me. And I think the doctors, they saw that. They definitely had me thinking it was going to turn out good, but you don't know.
With the mountain biking, I'm curious and it's just sort of changing subjects for a minute, but with the mountain biking in New Hampshire, do you go onto any mountains like the 52 with the views, or there's no 4,000 footers, but like, how deep in the White Mountains do you get? I know there's areas where, like, I've been on the Baldface Circle where they do mountain biking, and I've seen them come down and stuff. And I know there's a lot of legal places where you can ride. Do you get into the Whites a lot, or do you tend to ride like in other areas?
I do a lot of single track in the southern part of the state, but It is a goal to do. Man, I'm just begging to get hurt though. If I ride a bike down a mountain, I just know it.
Right. Right, yeah, it's like super, like the Baldface. The guys that come down the Baldface is like it looks awesome, but they're flying, and I'm like, this can't be safe if you wipe out. So
yeah, I like to do like just gnarly riding through the woods, climbs and descents, technical stuff.
Yeah. What's the best riding in New Hampshire? I mean, don't give away your secret spots, of course, but.
Geez, where do I love? Musquash. It's in my town, Londonderry. It's conservation land, bugs 24/7, mosquitoes in winter. It's terrible, but man, the riding is so good.
If you go fast, the mosquitoes can't catch you.
That's the other thing. And you can't stop and talk to friends. I'm just going to ride.
That's awesome.
Do you have a favorite out of the two between mountain biking and hiking if you had to pick, or is that like just you couldn't make that decision?
I've been asked that before, and that is so hard because if I had to choose one, I don't know that I could. I mean, I love the grind of them. I love just the satisfaction when I'm done and how good I feel. I don't know. They are both outdoor activities, and the way I feel doing both is the same. So I don't know that I could choose one over the other.
Yeah. I did want to get back too. So did you grow up sort of hiking it as well? I feel like we're going a little bit backwards as well, but what sort of got you into the outdoors?
I grew up in New Hampshire, so I've always been a bit of a wanderer. And it was until I met this girl at the gym. She's like, hey, I like your shorts. You want to climb a mountain with me? I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. So I did. And like I said, if I'm getting into something, there's no lukewarm. I'm 110%. So it was that one hike up Pierce in the wintertime. I was adding stuff to my cart on the drive home for what I needed. I was like, oh, and I need this. Okay. Gaiters. Okay. Got it. Yeah. And then it just took off from there.
That's cool. Yeah, you can definitely emphasize with the 110% on things for better, for worse.
When you first started hiking, were you like, I can't believe I've lived in New Hampshire for this long and like I never did this before? I always think about that because I started late, a little bit later on, and I was like, geez, I could have been doing this in my my younger days, but I just didn't know.
I always would think people hike multiple mountains at one go. When I first heard about Owl's Head, I was like, I will never do the 48. I'm never doing 17 miles to nowhere.
Famous last words.
You know, before I knew it, Owl's Head was my most hiked peak.
That's awesome.
So you do like pain then?
You know, there's a little bit of suffering and joy.
Yes, that is true. That's true. So, so this is good. So what's the long-term prognosis? Is they basically just live along there, like you're just going to live your life and that's the way it is. And, you know, you'll have pretty much normal function.
Yeah, that's it. Most days I don't think about it. I do if I'm riding a bike and friends are trying to talk to me as we're pedaling uphill. I think about it then. If you see me hiking and you say hi, don't expect me to respond.
Right. Yeah. You're just grinding. So, wow. And then, do you have any goals, any long-term plans? Like, are you gridding or are you redlining or are you looking to do any of those crazy accomplishments?
I say I'm not doing anything, but I track every hike I do and every round of the 48. I keep tracking it. I guess it's just, I don't know. I don't know what my goal is.
Yeah, I feel like you get halfway through the grid, and then at that point, you're like, okay, well, maybe I am. So
yeah, that's how my 48 started. My friends were tracking it for me. They're like, you should just do it. I'm like, I don't want to do it. They're like, Sarah, you only have 13 left. I go, I'm doing it.
Yes. Wow. Well, this is inspiring. So,
seriously,
yeah, Nick, I haven't lost anything. I feel like I almost lost my finger that one time, but that's about it. But now, do you have to worry about, like, if you want, say you went out west to Colorado or something, elevation, like, do they tell you, like, worry about elevation if you did any adventures outside of New England?
I mean, I don't know. I have been out there and I did have issues with elevation sickness, but that was when I had 2 lungs.
Right. Oh, so then you definitely should stick in New England.
Yeah, or get out a couple weeks early to acclimate.
You're right. Yeah, I wouldn't play around with that if that's the case. But wow, this is super inspiring. And I feel like I'm a little bit older than you, and I definitely feel like there's an age thing where you do start losing a little bit of fitness, and you know you can fight it, and I am fighting it as hard as I can. But just to hear that you're doing it with one lung, I'm gonna get on the treadmill tomorrow and just shut my mouth.
I've tried, so I'm not a runner, but the other day I noticed that my driveway was at like an 8% grade. Yeah. I was like, that's good for hill sprints.
Right.
Started doing hill sprints. Yes. Pick up a new hobby. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, this was great. I don't know, Nick, did we miss anything?
I don't think so, unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about, Sarah. I did want to shout out, at least, are you okay with us mentioning your Instagram if people want to follow along with your shed hunting and whatnot? Yeah. So you can follow Sarah at Sarah in the 603. There's some beautiful pictures from hiking and stuff on there. Shed hunting. It looked pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, look at your shed. That's impressive.
Yeah, well, it is impressive. But thank you again for coming on, Sarah. This has been,
thanks for having me.
Been great.
Oh, you have a big pile of moose poop too, as well.
No, that's porcupine poop.
What is that?
Porcupine poop.
That's porcupine poop.
Yeah. So they find a nice tree in the winter. That's their den. And they just do number 1 and number 2 in that tree until it is a huge mound.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I spotted that from across the forest and said, what is that? And it was poop. Lots of poop.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was like moose poop for me, but no, it's porcupine. That's interesting. So the listeners definitely check out like the first couple of posts on her Instagram. You'll see this, but I've never seen that before in my life.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's wild.
So
And Mike, do you want to round out with some search and rescue news quick? Or do you want to save it?
Let's save it because we're just running a little bit late here.
Right.
But because there's nothing. I don't think there's anything that interesting on these ones. It's just there's volume. But we'll start the next episode with the search and rescue news.
Right. Works for me.
Very good. I'm going to go try to figure out how to program my Garmin Phoenix. So.
Good luck.
It should be good. All right, Sarah, thank you so much. And
thank you.
We'll stay in touch. We'll have to have you come back on again. When I teach Nick how to ride a bike, I'll send you the video and then you can come back on and assess his technique.
I can't wait.
Awesome.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to learn more about the topics covered in today's show, please check out the show notes and safety information at slasrpodcast.com. That's SLASR podcast.com. You can also follow the show on Facebook and Instagram. We hope you'll join us next week for another great show. Until then, on behalf of Mike and Stomp, get out there and crush some mega peaks.
Now covered in scratches, blisters, and bug bites, Chris Staff wanted to complete his most challenging day hike ever.
Fish and Game officers say the hiker from Florida activated an emergency beacon yesterday morning. He was hiking along the Appalachian Trail when the weather started to get worse. Officials say the snow was piled up to 3 feet in some spots, and there was a wind chill of -1 degree.
And there's 3 words to describe this race. Do we all know what they are? Only one hill!
Here's Lieutenant James Nealon, New Hampshire Fish and Game. Lieutenant, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
What are some of the most common mistakes you see people make when they're heading out on the trails to hike here in New Hampshire?
It seems to me the most common is being unprepared. I think if they just simply visited hikesafe.com and got a list of the 10 essential items and had those in their packs, they probably would have no need to ever call us at all.